There are few guarantees in life beyond death and taxes, although one could argue that losing some muscle with age is almost a guarantee. Estimates suggest that at least 1.6 billion people worldwide will be over age 65 by the year 2050. And with this will come loss of muscle and muscle function. This is the definition of sarcopenia, and it begins to affect many people by age 40 with a decrease of 30 to 50% in skeletal muscle by age 80. It comes with an obvious health risk and a financial burden, up to $18.5 billion yearly in the United States. But there's hope. Age can be made just a number, including diminishing how fast we lose valuable lean mass or even delaying when the process begins. What I'm describing is numerical versus biological age. For some, they immediately begin noticing a functional decline early in adulthood, where others preserve function over time. It's the small functional changes we may not even think about, like sitting instead of standing to put your socks on in the morning. Although medicine unfortunately reminds me that bad luck can happen to anyone, exercise science has also proven that many aspects of the aging process can be influenced by consistent lifestyle change. One area is how quickly an individual reaches their disability threshold. What's the disability threshold from a functional muscle perspective? It's where after gaining significant functional muscle early in life, slowly but surely someone loses enough that they have to adapt how they live. This could be as subtle as changing how they put those socks on in the morning, to more obvious adaptations like modifying their home or using a walking aid. Although one component of sarcopenia involves losing muscle, it's this loss of muscle function that's also important. This equates to 10 to 15% strength lost on average per decade before age 70, leaving many people quickly reaching the disability threshold. Now, the list of causes as to why humans lose muscle with age is long, and this video is certainly not going to do it justice. But briefly, it includes other health conditions causing pro-inflammatory states, genetics, chronic protein imbalance, muscle disuse, hospitalizations, and of course neurohormonal changes, to name a few. Depending on the individual and the environment in which they live, each component can play a varying role in dictating the progression of muscle loss. Let's take a moment to focus on hospitalization and why it's a perfect storm for losing muscle. Think about it. Pain, nausea, reduced appetite, poor nutrition, and immobility create the ideal catabolic crisis for muscle. Unlike traditional models predicting a slow but steady decline over time, being in hospital can literally lead to a stepwise drop and literally kilograms of muscle lost during a single admission. Even more detrimental are repeated admissions, with immobility quickly leading to significant muscle losses and increased chances of morbidity and mortality. It often isn't just the hospitalization, but the associated illness that comes along with it. For example, one study following elderly individuals post-hip fracture showed an average net loss of 3.8 pounds of lean mass 60 days after injury, while other studies have shown this amount of muscle can be lost even faster. Consider that even in your 40s, growing 4 pounds of pure muscle in a year would be an achievement. One can only imagine how devastating this could be in your 60s and beyond. Although complex, ultimately, preserving muscle with age can be simplified into two significant and modifiable factors. One is adequate chronic dietary protein consumption, and the other is lifelong mechanical loading of your muscles, both of which help stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Similar to our bones constantly engaging in a process of formation and degradation, muscle tissue is constantly being turned over. Every day we create and break down muscle to create a balancing act between driving forces on one side and acute illness, hospitalization, poor diets, and many other factors on the other. Having a net loss of a few grams of muscle in a day sounds meaningless. However, repeated long-term net losses could dictate not if, but when somebody reaches their disability threshold. Now, thankfully, we can significantly influence these two main drivers of stimulating muscle protein growth. From a protein perspective, there's a gap between the scientific literature and current dietary guidelines, which are underdosing protein in older individuals. The muscle and aging literature suggests it may take up to 40% more protein than current recommendations to optimize results. One theory, with evidence to support it, surrounds anabolic resistance, which in layman's terms simply means our muscle cells don't respond as well to consumed amino acids with age as they do when we're younger. For example, young adults need roughly 20 grams of protein per meal to adequately maximize muscle protein synthesis after resistance exercise, with upwards of 35 to 40 grams required to stimulate the same response in older individuals. What's the take-home message? With age comes increased protein requirements to create the same response within our muscle cells. Missing some protein for a day likely won't come with much of a difference. However, underdosing protein for years likely will come with consequences. Exercise that applies direct mechanical loading to our muscles is the other main driver of muscle protein synthesis. If you don't use it, you'll likely lose it, slowly but surely, until you have to adapt to survive. Take these cross-sectional MRIs of thighs, for example. On the left, you can see a muscle-bound 25-year-old compared to an older individual showing signs of obvious muscle loss on the other side. Now you may be thinking, they're 63 years old, what do you expect? This hints at a common question I get in clinic all the time. Is this normal? Should I simply expect to lose muscle rapidly as soon as I turn 50 or 60 years old? The simple answer is no. And this muscle-bound 74-year-old athlete in the same study has strong data to support why their obvious lifestyle choices have influenced their ability to hold on to precious muscle over a lifetime. When it comes to mechanical loading of our muscles, anything helps, and based on your own health status, time demands, and goals, you'll have to balance what's optimum with what's realistic. Any form of weight-bearing activity will likely come with benefits. However, formal strength training to every major muscle group at least twice weekly will likely come with even more. In my last video, I talked about true hope versus false hope for healthy aging. True hope for sustainable lifestyle change requires acceptance. Acceptance that the path ahead will likely not be easy, will require adapting to your aging self, but will be worth it in the end. It's been a privilege to encounter so many incredible success stories during my years as a fitness professional and now as a family physician, and they often start with a similar statement like this. I started exercising because I'm at that age when my friends around me are no longer bouncing back from illness. This is referring to that moment in life when something has to give. As physical function slowly but surely declines, eventually we're forced to significantly change how we live or even where we live. Without sustained fitness, it becomes harder and harder to bounce back from illness, to prevent losing our previous baseline of health. Maintaining functional lean mass is about taking the hits of illness. I'm not going to try and impersonate Rocky Balboa, but he said it best. You know, kid, life isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's about taking the hit and moving forward. I prescribe customized exercise to my patients so they can hopefully take the hits of illness and still move forward with age. Although death and taxes are inevitable and bad luck can happen to anyone, we all have significant control over the speed of the aging process. Lean mass is no different. Maintain true hope. Be realistic about the challenge ahead. And remember, age really is just a number. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, it really makes a difference. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a new video.